Okay, Mayor.
I will call the Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 Special Committee of Whole meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Mayor Russ, Deputy Mayor Sheffield, Councilor McElroy, Councilor Piazza, Councilor Johns present.
I know Councilor Norris had said he would not be able to make it tonight. So we are going to go a little bit out of order tonight if there are no objections. Seeing none. I'm going to call up Groton Utilities. Bucket truck purchase. Good evening.
Okay, we have a bucket truck that is in need of being replaced. It's a 2007 International vehicle. It's become problematic, so it's typically the last truck to go out of the yard to be used, only for emergencies. We would like to replace it with a brand-new one. We have a demo model that became available. It is a F600 Ford. It comes equipped with a 49 or 50-foot bucket, and it also has a jib to it. It's a diesel 4x4. We had it as a demo. We tried it for a week. We think it's a perfect fit for what we need. We looked at replacing with new, going through the process of ordering, and it was 24 months to 36 months to get our hands on a truck. We have an opportunity to purchase this demo model. I recommend that we move forward with it, and the price of the truck is $260,241. Excuse me. We would be using the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Solution for the purchase, so it's Best Buy, best price we can get. Any questions?
Councilor Johns.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, so is this something that we proactively fund?
So it is. So it's in our budget.
Yeah.
The difficulty comes with, so we've got a fleet of trucks. Really need to do like an annual assessment on how they're doing it, and what we're looking to do going forward is to have vehicles selected, in the queue and budgeted for. This particular year, we had more capital to work with because we ended up being really in the rears. But I expect that going forward, would be probably $500,000 to have in each annual budget for a truck, and we'll have 1 or 2 trucks picked for that. They're very expensive and, again, difficult to get. And a lot of times, like I made mention, 2 to 3 years out, you go to budget for it, and the prices are almost changing monthly, 6 months. So it becomes very difficult to budget for these vehicles. So, again, this one was a demo. We just happened to have an opportunity to get it. I think it's a win for us if we can move forward with it. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Please note, Councilor Amboise arrived at 6:32. We are on Groton Utilities bucket truck purchase, just so you're aware. Okay. I will take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of February 2nd.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Next up is the Eversource easement. This was something that we discussed at the last committee of the whole, and there were still some questions, so we brought it back to this committee of the whole.
Sure. I can give you guys a brief
Mike, do you want to introduce
background.
yourself? Can you introduce yourself to everyone?
Mike Weber, General Manager, Water, Wastewater, GU. I can give you a quick background. We did discuss this before, but back in 2022, Eversource did some work on the right-of-way going through the reservoir. They have high lines going through the reservoir. Ron's handing out a map showing the different easements that are going through our property. Back in that time, we did ask Eversource to use our access road to the the pole line closest to the reservoir, so we could kind of block off their right-of-way. Right now, they have a access road that goes off of Long Cove, and it went directly to our reservoir. So we didn't have any control over the access to our reservoir through there right-of-way, so we kind of asked them if they would use our gate, so we know when they were in there, they would notify us, we would know they were inside on our property working. So what we did ask them to write up an easement for us to have, future repairs on the High Lines that would use our access road to go through there. And that would benefit the utilities because we'd have control over their access. And there's a couple barriers they put in here. If you take a look at the map, there's two, the pink area where that's the right-of-ways going through the reservoir there. We've got Morgan and Ledger Pond right there. And you'll see a circle here, that's gate 46. So what they did is they used the line trucks to go in there to access the poles closest to the water. And the other poles on the outside of our property, they access from Long Cove Road. So with this easement, we asked them to put a stone barrier in so no vehicles could get into our reservoir from their access. So basically, that's the background. I mean, there's not going to be any monetary compensation for the easement because they are going to be taking care of the road for us if anything happens. They are going to be, they're going to maintain the road and they're putting the barriers up at no charge to the utilities. So that's kind of benefiting us, it's a utility company. So, sure.
Counselor Mbas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know Councilor Norris isn't here, but I guess I'm going to try to get the answer to the question that he had brought up. Why a permanent easement? And is there a way that, I guess I can't speak for him, but he was concerned that why are we doing it permanently rather than having a review of this from time to time to renew the easement?
Yeah. I think just to make it legal for them, so they don't have to, every time they go in there, they have to get right now they can access, they give us a heads up and go in there legally, instead of, I don't know. I'm not really sure how to answer that question. Why would, should be, I don't know if you can help out, Ron.
So as a general rule, we get easements for every property that we put electric service on or have lines across their property. We don't do temporary easements. We're going to be servicing them forever. So in this case, we asked them to put the barriers up and we asked them to do us a favor. And they did put quite a bit of time and attorney fees and everything into it. And the utility just isn't used to doing temporary easements. We could, but then these barriers wouldn't be quite so permanent. And it just seems like a really good relationship anyway. They enter there anytime they want now, permanently. Those easements are permanent. So it seems this should parallel that. We were trying to work with them to best we could for them to help us do a favor, because they didn't have to do this. And they don't have to block off their easement access. So.
So did Eversource pay for all this legal paperwork, or?
They actually took the first stab at the easement and had their attorneys draft what they wanted. Then we gave it to our attorney, and our attorneys went through, changed some things. It went to Utility Commission, and Utility Commission actually changed a couple of the environmental liability issues on it. And then we brought it back to Commission before it went through. So.
And I know there was a resident that had a question about monetary situations. We're real blessed here to have a municipal utility, and I know that in other parts of the state, they're not as blessed when it comes to the cost that it is to deliver power to people's property. So is this a standard practice then, just to allow the easement statewide? I mean, is this something that because there was some talk of other municipalities have given or granted easements to Eversource or another utility and received some sort of monetary fee or revenue for that.
Right, I actually, the mayor gave me a copy of that easement. It was in Massachusetts, and they were using a rails to trail, what used to be a railroad thing that was MBTA tracks to get access. In the recent history, a lot of, with all the solar panels and the green power going in, when utilities are making a lot of money off of new power producing methods that are going in, when they're making a lot of money and they ask for an easement, they actually, it's very fair to ask for monetary recoup when an easement goes in. As this one's existing, as you can see, Mike did a great drawing here. The vertical access on that drawing there is directly feeding our substation. So back in the day, these lines have been there since late 50s. We would have encouraged them and asked for them to give us power and given them willingly any easements that they needed to give us the power to Buddington substation. When the transmission lines cross into the city of, the town of Groton, Groton Utilities, the city owns from there all the way to Buddington Station. And actually, we get $2.5–3 million a year in transmission revenue because we own those lines. So because you're making money on things like that, if we had that easement on someone else's land, it might be, if it wasn't from the 40s and 50s when they didn't even do that, this day and age, yeah, the owners of that property would certainly say, hey, what's the easement worth? Even for our easements, let's say you're, and we've actually had this happen, a resident is installing a house that needs utility lines to cross another person's property. They wouldn't have an annual fee, but very often the property that they're crossing, that resident that wants the easement will have to pay that property owner to allow an easement to go on their property. So it is very common at this stage to pay for easements. It is. And if they weren't doing us a favor and they were going to be making money here, or if it was a new development, we certainly would have discussed that.
I guess just my only question left, my last question would be, what's wrong with the current situation that we're in right now, besides us getting this this rock wall on both sides to prevent access? I mean, is the situation that's going on right now working? I know that you mentioned at a previous meeting, you basically have to get a phone call, just let them know that they're heading in.
So in the old days, they came down the road in the easement that goes down to the right, you can see that they came down that, it says Eversource Access Road. They went all the way down and followed their lines all the way to our reservoir. What that does is a lot of people have four-wheelers and different types of access to the high lines. What we're finding is by putting the rock wall there, which is already there, by the way, the four wheels and everything stop going directly onto the reservoir. And if you look at the very bottom of Morgan Reservoir, you see how it's a straight line? That's actually a dam there. And four-wheelers and cross-country skiing and hiking, and you're really not supposed to have people walk on an earthen dam. It can damage the dams. So the goal is to keep them away from that.
Councilor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening. I just, when you were speaking of the, how they're accessing it into the rock barrier, do they stay on that road, or do they, what is the road made of specifically?
Our road's gravel road?
It's gravel? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So they said that, like, if anything happened from the weight of the truck or moving around, especially with snow and rain, that they
Yep.
would take care of that?
Correct. Yeah, that's
Okay.
part of the
So when there is snow, in order to have access, who actually is responsible for clearing that?
Well, we do. We clear it in the snow. Our guys go out there and do that.
Okay,
We have
it's
some-
just for a knowledge shake.
Yeah.
So if anything happened emergency-wise, how do emergency vehicles access there?
How would they, the police, they would.
Police, fire, anything?
Yeah, they would notify us to get access to the gate. I mean, we have our own reservoir locks on the gates, so we'd have to meet them out there.
So there's somebody available at all times
Yeah,
for
there shouldn't
somebody to
be-
come
yeah,
and,
yeah,
hey,
correct.
we're coming in?
Yep,
Okay.
we do have a call person that can come in on emergencies, yeah.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
So there wouldn't be a need for fees of any kind from Eversource for this easement? There wouldn't be something to where the utilities could be compensated for the easement at all? There isn't a need for it.
I don't think, it's not improving their utilities. They already have access through our, it's just helping us to limit the access that they actually can get to our reservoir from their They already have their pole line in there. They're not gonna improve their income from this access. It's just easier for them, easier for us, really, to control that area when they go in there, so.
So it doesn't improve anyone's position one way or the other
No.
as far as, okay, financially, I should say.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you.
sure.
Any other questions? Mike, is it fair to say, Mike and Ron, is it fair to say that there was already access, Eversource already had access? We asked them to change their access, which
Correct,
thus created the need for an easement.
correct, yeah.
And that easement, or that change of how they enter makes it better for Groton Utilities.
Correct.
Okay. Deputy Mayor.
And this was approved by the Utilities Commission. This went through the commission prior to. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Are we comfortable moving this at this time? Okay, I'll take a motion to move this to the February 2nd Mayor and Council.
So move.
Second?
All those in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, was that it? Councilor Ambrose? You're a yes, or, okay. That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to go up to highway budget. Okay, for those who are newer to the council, that's fine. Oh,
May I pause it this time?
yes, of course. So everybody kind of knows what's going on. We have two meetings that are going on at the same time. We only have one Zoom account. So this Zoom is going to go back to ZBA so that they can record that meeting. We are being recorded by the cameras up there, so we are still being recorded. So that is what's going on right now. And we moved tonight because of yesterday's snow. So the highway and police budgets, we do early per the charter, which says that the police and highway budget need to come to the mayor no later than the first week of January. It needs to be to you 2 weeks later for review and approval. And then that gets submitted to the town manager by the end of February. The highway budget is funded 100% by the town. The police budget is funded 50% by the town minus the chief's salary, which is done completely by the city. Are there any questions with that? Okay, so this first budget that we're talking about is the highway budget. And that for you is the very large piece of paper and the paper that has the orange across the top. Did you get them? You left them, okay. Sharon? Thank you.
So there are a few additional documents that are being handed out right now. There were two things that we realized were not in your packet that went out to you late last week. So the larger 11 by 17 document is the City Highway Department's vehicle list. So that's a list of all of our vehicles and equipment with the year, make, model, number of miles, the condition of the vehicle, and then an intended replacement, replacement date. So that was not in your packet, so we do apologize for that. The second document that you have, we put together just to kind of give a little bit of an understanding of what the Highway Department charges or includes in its budget for highway staff. We refer to that as a full-time equivalent. So the additional piece of paper just sort of breaks down the percentage of employee that gets charged to the actual Highway Department along with the associated salaries.
And before we move on, just the top half of that is how much of that budget is funded by the highway budget. So like Public Works Director is 0.6, so that salary below is 0.6%, or 0.6 of that salary. Okay, thank you.
And we can certainly talk more about that. I just wanted to make sure we got those handed out before we got started. So I do think that I've been before most of you, but I am Heidi Kamel. I'm the project manager in the City Highway Department.
And I'm Josh Ivory. I'm the supervisor for the Highway Department.
So we're here tonight to present to you the proposed 2027 city highway budget. The budget that we've prepared is a 3.57% increase in the total highway operations and an overall increase of 3.45, which is inclusive of our highway capital. Just a couple of key projects and things we wanted to talk about that happened here in the Highway Department in fiscal year 26. In this current year, we've paved 6 roads, and along with that, we've repaired and replaced sidewalks along all of those same roadways. We've also begun the design for a project on Pine Island. It is a culvert replacement project. Currently, that is in the design phase, and we are hoping to move that to the permitting phase, hopefully sometime in late 26 or early 27. We've also been involved in Five Corners Resiliency Study, and as part of that, we're preparing a plan that will result in drainage improvements and green infrastructure installations in the Five Corners corridor. We are coordinating with Groton Estates and a local conservation district for the installation of tree filters, which will positively impact the city's stormwater. And one of the things that, we've started in this current fiscal year, we'll see a lot of this continue over into fiscal year 27, and as we go through the budget, we can talk about how some of these projects you'll see carry over into our fiscal year 27 request. So we did, the mayor had provided a directive for a level services budget. So we do believe that most of the increases that you'll see in this budget, we do come in about the 3%, which is the average of what is going to be included for salary increases. So we are coming in just above that. There are some fluctuations you'll see in the administrative category, and a lot of that is because of changes in personnel. So we have been without a formal director since this fiscal year started, and then Josh took over the position of supervisor in July of this past year. So there were some differences in his salary and the previous supervisor. So a bit of what you'll see in this budget really does is in administrative and salaries.
Do you want to take questions? Go ahead.
Yes, speaking of the administration, I see the actual that was spent for 26, was 536,653, and you're budgeting for 1,093,782. Do you expect to need that much money, or?
So I can explain that, and I apologize, there's a line that should have probably been there. It's the actual as of, it was a date in December when we started preparing the budget. So that column is really used for our purposes of trying to determine the estimate for the year.
We're about halfway through the year.
So what we're really anticipating, based on where we were when we began developing the budget at that 536,000, our estimate is coming in for the year at about a million 60,000.
Okay, so actually, for fiscal year '27, you're actually adding maybe 13,000? Compared?
About 18,000?
On the
I'm
forward
ju-
column.
Yeah, I'm just looking from request 1,093,782 to the estimated 2026 of 1,065,62.
If I can step in real quick, I would just ignore that actual 2026 line for purposes of going through this and really focus on your budget 26, your estimated 26, because that's where the projected for the year to come in at, and then you'll see the request for 27. So the increase in the admin side, just going through there, is 18,115, which is a difference between the 1,075,667 in budget 26 and the request of 27 of the 1,093,782.
So Ron, how should we interpret all right, so the actual 2026 is the midway point, and then we're estimating it year end of 25 at estimated 2026, but kind of ignore that line, I guess?
Yeah, ignore that actual 26. That was just numbers that were put in when this budget was being prepared to help produce that estimate for 2026. Because what'll happen when the budgets are produced, we'll take an actual at a date and time. And then we'll look at those actuals. It could be only, even though we could have run these numbers at the end of December, it could only be 5 months' worth of expenditures due to lag in invoicing coming in. Yeah, there could be things that happen throughout the year that may happen in springtime versus in the fall time. So we take those actuals, we look at those, and then we actually do our projections. That's just a starting point, knowing that there could be, we'll use general insurance, for example. There's payments that are made just in July for insurance, and then there's other payments that are made quarterly throughout the year. So we have to just kind of take a look at it, but it's really just a starting spot to help build that estimate for the 26.
Like you'll notice, the snow and ice control line, the actual was only $6,000 when we started this budget, or started preparing this budget. We're estimating to come in closer to $100,000. Although, as this winter is going.
That would be my next question. Is 107 going to be enough since we're halfway through winter? Could there be a possibility of going over 107 at potentially?
It's certainly possible.
Okay.
The way we build our snow and ice budget is, we typically budget for, I believe it's about $58,000 for the materials for the season. And then the overtime is, a formula that I guess it was a city-town agreement on how we develop the overtime formula. It's the last 5 years, you drop the high, you drop the low, and then we do an average of the 3 in the middle. I will tell you, last year's snow and ice budget for overtime was quite low based on some previous seasons. So the budget for our current year for overtime was $19,500. We are probably well on our way to that right now.
And that is the third to last page, under snow and ice control. Towards the top. questions? Deputy Mayor.
For RNS, I see an increase of 56,483. Would that entail?
So there are a few things in roads and streets that will get us to that number. Partially, it was, you'll see there's almost a 7% increase in salaries in that line. We are not anticipating a 7% salary increase. We were trying to true numbers up from previous budgets and make sure that we were using all of the correct contractual hourly rate. So you do see a slight increase there. That contributes about $43,000 to that $56,000 overall increase. We also included an additional $5,000 in traffic control. The reason why we did that is there are a lot of traffic calming initiatives that are being discussed here in the city. So we did take into consideration some additional funds for speed tables, rapid flashing beacons. We were also including in some of the other line items, looking at some curb bump outs. So another $5,000 was included in traffic control to include some of those initiatives.
Deputy Mayor, are you done with your questions for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Bus.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just so I'm clear, the budget that we have here, this is what gets sent to the town. And if I remember correctly, as an RTM member, we approve it.
Yes.
Okay, no?
Nope, this budget, so there's
As a
multiple formats that go into the town budget book. There's this format here. There's a task or object code, which matches up with the town's objects, and then we also do a roll-up. This budget only goes to the town council for approval. It does go to RTM, however, RTM cannot act on the highway budget.
Correct, yes,
Yeah,
all right. I was aware of that one. I just wanted to make sure the only people that can adjust the numbers would be the town manager or the town council.
Just the town
Just the
council.
town
Town
council.
manager puts the
He
requested budget.
accepts it?
Yep.
Okay, as is, okay. This involves street paving as well.
It does. That's the capital portion.
I was just in a meeting for Complete Streets with the town. Has there been any action on y'all's part to try to seek out grants or anything like that to redevelop whatever streets that are being paved into complete streets? Because there's a lot of opportunities out there at the state. If we were to make it more walkable, rideable, and drivable for everybody.
So we are currently in the middle, so a portion of what we're talking about is, I refer to the Five Corners Drainage Study. So we are working with the Nature Conservancy and an engineering contractor to come up with some plans to help us not only deal with our stormwater mitigation, but a lot of what they're focusing on is some green infrastructure installations, which does lend itself to traffic calming. We are looking at linear curb planters, curb bump outs in the Smith Street, Baker Avenue, Four Corners, Five Corners area. So we are looking at that right now as sort of secondary to that particular study. We are looking for grants to kind of take that a little bit further, and then also, help us with funding of the actual projects themselves.
Heidi, can you discuss, or Josh, can you discuss the CIPs that we're looking at for next year?
Hey, Josh.
Do you have a copy of that?
Oh, the CIP? Yeah.
Thank you. So on the copy with the orange on it is the 5-year capital improvement plan. This year, we're looking to replace a F-150 pickup, which would be the director's truck. The one that we have now is a 2014 with 102,000 miles on it. It's got some pretty heavy rust / rot going on with it. We have some oil leaks, rear main seal, so engine or transmission would have to come out to replace it. It's just one of them things where it's at the end of life. So we're looking to replace that one this year. We're also looking to possibly do a new excavator between this year and, or 27 and 28. So we have 125,000 set aside in this budget, and then we would be looking to do the same thing for the following budget. The excavator that we have now is a 2003 Cat M316C rubber tired machine. It's got roughly 6,500 hours on it. Over the last few years, we've started to run into some, I don't want to call them major problems, but in some aspect they are, because the machine is very hard to get parts for. And it's just, you know, getting to the point where it's costing more to repair it than, you know, it's worth. So, those are the two vehicles that we are looking to replace this year. And then for road paving, we have Fairview Avenue and Riverview Avenue. Riverview was last paved in 2001. The projected PCI of that is 25. It's showing its wear, you know, cracking, lots of potholes, stuff like that we're repairing. So we're looking to pave that one this year, or just keep saying this year, but 27, and Fairview Avenue. It's another one that is in pretty rough shape. That is PCI of 50 right now at this point, and it was last paved in 99. Both of these roads would be complete, you know, mill and pave up to 3 inches. Usually it's a 1.5 inch binder, 1.5 inch of wear coat, so.
Can you explain what PCI means to those who may not understand what that term means?
So, the PCI is, we have, the town had a company come in and basically rate the roads throughout the town and the city. So the PCI is like, it's giving a breakdown of like the projected, when it should be, you know, seal coated or milled, you know, stuff like that. It's basically what's just, you know, the rating of the road. So obviously the lower the number, the worse shape the road is in.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, Councilor Boss.
Thank you, Josh. Is Riverview and Fairview the two worst roads in town right now? Is there a lower, roads that have a lower PCI than these? Or is it more because of traffic?
Yeah, so like Fairview is a very high traveled road. A lot of traffic going to the sub base and stuff. So that is like one of the #1 reasons that we picked that one. And Riverview, so we try and do like a general area, right? So if we have like Fairview is, all right, this road needs to be done. Fairview is right there from Riverview, so the paver would come in, do that one, then they don't have to trailer across the city. We would have to pay a fee to have the equipment moved again. Okay. So.
Thank you for that. when doing Riverview, are you also gonna end up doing that part of Bliven and then the other part of Walker Hill, or are you just doing Riverview?
Nope, so the city line is right at the top of Riverview, right before you get to the corner. So we would be coming from basically the town line down to Bliven. So it would be, if you look at the curb, it'd be like a straight line right to that house that's at the end of. So Bliven would be at a different time point.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
On the, moving towards the budget with professional and technical services, there was an increase of 33%. I guess, like I said, I see physicals for new employees, background checks, and then in bold black, lawyer fees. What's that?
For those of you following along, we're on page 2.
Page 2.
Yeah. So, nope, you're absolutely correct with that. So the reason for that this year is, that we are going into contract negotiations with our highway union. So what we did, you'll also see, I believe, an increase in, the estimate for our current fiscal year. And what we did was we actually split what we believe are the anticipated costs for legal fees for the contractual negotiations. We did a portion in this year and a portion and we're asking for a portion of that in next fiscal year, because they do typically overlap years.
Okay, so are there going to be new employees that you anticipate, or they're already employed? What's, as far as that potential?
That's just what gets charged to that account.
Okay.
So like that, if we did hire somebody new, that would be the physical for them, you know, the pre-job physical and stuff.
And
Would get
background.
charged to that account.
Okay.
But the bulk of the increase in that particular line item is legal fees related to contract negotiations.
Okay.
Or union negotiations, I should say union negotiations.
And my next question, you spoke about the paving, and I know I live on one of the roads that got paved in the Five Corners, which is Dennison. You mentioned the sidewalks. Now, only I saw portions of sidewalks that got repaired. Is there going to be a point where the entire sidewalk will be done on each block, Hamilton as well as Dennison, or is there just where it's needed to be fixed? Because it seems like it was a sort of a patchwork done.
Yeah,
and-
so that was like, a walkthrough of looking at what was in bad shape and what was still in good shape. So we did, you know, we don't always replace the sidewalks, because sometimes they're in great shape. And so like we went through, replaced blocks that were cracked or, you know, maybe a chunk taken out or something like that. So, no, those won't be getting replaced until, you know, there comes a need for it.
I guess good thing I take care of my sidewalk, then it had to be replaced. All right, yeah, that's all for now.
Okay. Any other questions? Councilor Plus?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With these two vehicles, the Caterpillar and the Ford F-150, either Heidi or Josh, if you could answer this, what do you feel is the average yearly maintenance cost for these vehicles?
So, we don't have a fleet, program that tracks the average yearly cost. I can tell you that we had a, issue with the excavator. Not last, I gotta think about this. I think it was last winter, where we had to replace the water pump. It let go, spewing coolant. They came down and ended up doing the work on that, and it was a pretty substantial bill. But, you know, it's, you know, with them things, you don't know what's gonna come next, you know? Maybe if we could do the fleet management program, you know, we could track like, you know, the oil changes or, you know, stuff like that, and get a projected cost of that bond.
Yeah, that would be one thing I would like to recommend in the future, is just to keep track of, you know, especially, I mean, again, this is very detailed information here, and useful life, and the grading and condition, but to justify it more for the public.
Yeah.
Because, again, I know these things where, you could say, oh, it's only 10 years old, but it's got hundreds of hours of use time on it, especially when we talk and discuss, when we talk the police budget, they're always running their vehicles. The same thing would happen here. I'm saying this in jest, but I know we're vacant a director of Public Works. Is this one of those sweeteners to say we're gonna get a new Ford for the director?
No.
I know, I say it in jest.
No, this,
Yeah.
honestly, this truck should have been replaced
Right.
previous years ago. You know, probably last year or the year before, honestly.
Right. And I can tell you, we are looking into fleet management. Groton Utilities has it as a module in their City Works program, so we have started conversations about how to move forward with that. So it is something that we are very seriously looking into.
And this was something that I thought was really important, to make sure that you guys had this much information, so we're trying to get you as much information as we can, and we will be working, as Heidi said, towards City Works to get you more information next year. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to move this to the mayor and council meeting of February 2nd.
So move.
Second?
So motion and a second. Motion made by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councilor Piazza, just for the record. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you, Josh and Heidi.
Thank you.
I always joke that I've got so much space up here, but I feel like this is the day that I'm taking it over. All right, next up is our police budget, please. If you could all introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Dave Burton, Chief of Police.
Good evening, Travis Winkleman, Lieutenant.
Captain Leto. Captain Lilly, please.
Thank you.
So a little different on the budget presentation this year, and I mentioned it to one of the prior councils that for successor type planning, I was going to involve the captain and the lieutenant more in the budget process, especially in preparation and presentation, because it's important that as a potential replacement for the chief, that they understand how the financial obligations of the police department work, and then why we ask what we ask for. So this budget this year is at a 2.99% increase. The mayor asked us to come in at 3%. Of course, we beat that. That's unusual for us, honestly, because the last 2 years, we have been over 5% asks based on trying to make up some room and requirements that we had in operations. So this is, in my tenure here, this is the lowest percentage increase that we've asked for so far. And as we go through the budget here by line item, I'm going to point out where not only did some of the percentages increase for us, because they always do, but also there are some large negatives as far as cuts, where we took from one line item to balance another one in order to meet that 3% obligation. So the budget that we have, there's major categories that will tell you specifically what we're talking about, and then under those major categories there are the line item numbers, which are the codes where we pull from when we go ahead and bill with finance to balance out our budget. So the captain is going to handle some of the operational questions. The lieutenant will handle anything that's related to the detectives and patrol. That is their duties on a normal day-to-day basis. And then I will handle anything as far as personnel is concerned. As far as personnel, there are some things that are immovable for us. When you go through here, you look at salaries, for example. Salaries are set right now at a 3% COLA. Again, that's per the mayor's instructions. That's cost of living increase. There's a contractual increase of 3.5% for the officers. There's 5% increases from finance as far as benefits and medical is concerned. And obviously FICA and some of the other things are federally set, and we just can't play with those, so tax rates. So, and we'll start. You have the same form I do, so it's real easy to go through. Chief officer, as the mayor said, that is 100% financing on the part of the city. That's my salaries, my benefits, my pension, clothing, et cetera. And you'll see that, again, in the 3% realm. We are below that as the total is concerned. Training, one line item, I do want to go down to general material and supply, because that does jump out the page at a 76% increase. It's the third line item down under that major category, 76.47% increase. And I'm going to let the lieutenant talk about why we went up that much.
So we went up that much because the price of ammunition went up a third of the cost, and that's due to the increase for the metals that it takes to create the ammo. We are also shooting more at the range than we have years prior. We're doing 3 times a year, and that's to stay with post standards, make sure all our officers are able to get more training with their pistols and the rifles as well. So that's pretty much why the increase has gone up.
Thank you. If we jump down to the captain as a major category, again, looking at the third line item for percentage that will jump out at you, it says 60%. In practicality purpose, that's a $300 increase, and what that is that's a uniform increase. Officers get a $1,200 uniform allowance. I get an $800 uniform allowance, and the captain at the time was only getting a $500 uniform allowance. So in order to bring the captain up to the level of the chief, that went from $500 to $800, but it does represent a 60% jump. So, all right. If we go down to general support, you will see a large decrease, $33,000, which is 21% in that line item. And the reason why we did that was because last year we were in negotiations. And we took the money that was put into that ahead of time and removed it this year because we don't have negotiations now for another 3 years. So, all right. If we jump down to vehicle operation supply and vehicle fuel, you'll see a minus 11% and then an 11% increase. That was the minus from one line item to add up to the other. One is the maintenance cost. We're estimating, so traditionally here, we've always gone over in maintenance. To give you an example, my first year here, we had a $40,000 budget, $45,000 budget, sorry, and we spent $56,000 on maintenance. There was no vehicle replacement plan. There is now. You have the vehicle replacement plan in front of you. That's based on the year, the mileage, and the cost associated, as well as what that Blue Book value is on that vehicle. Once the maintenance cost exceeds the Blue Book value, and if it's old enough, that then goes to replacement and goes on the request list for that year's budget. Right now, we're on a 3-year per vehicle replacement plan, so it takes us 7 years to change over the entire fleet as it sits today. If we were to change everything that's sitting in the parking lot, it would take us 7 years under this plan. Okay, so if we go to, let's see, what's the next one? If we go to the second page, and Again, group insurance, if we go into town, 5318, and then jump down to group and LTD insurance, you'll see that jumps up by 35%. But as I stated at the opening of this, those are some of the numbers that we got from finance as far as our insurance costs are concerned. So that's based on actuaries that are forecasted to come forward, and that's going to be an increase for us. So. The next thing is special events. Special events went up 13.5%, and we're going to let the lieutenant talk about special events.
I think that was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to let the captain talk about special events, sorry.
Okay, so this covers the salaries for our special events, and which includes City Day, the fireworks display, any sub-commissionings or demonstrations. It also includes our recruiting and our accreditation fees, okay, and some of the, what is it?
So Homeland Security stuff?
Homeland Security, okay, strikes, funerals, and holiday parties and things like that, that the police department staff, okay? Any special events. And the materials and supplies have gone up to also cover for any supplies or equipments that are going to be needed to staff these events. Food related to the special events, we usually have something during any of the major events.
Okay. The next item is utilities and fuel. That's a 33% jump. That's building related. And the reason why, honestly, is because we've always spent more than we budgeted. So we did raise it to $20,000, which is a $5,000 increase over where we budgeted last year. If you look at the historical side of this, we usually budget about $15,000, but we've spent in the high 18s, 18.8, 18.9. So we thought that, again, looking at energy costs, fuel costs, et cetera, on the increase, so we thought that $20,000 would be a fair enough number to cover us on this. But it does represent a 33% increase. All right. The next big item, and it's at the bottom of the page, is investigations. It's a 140% increase. And like, who asked for a 140% increase? It's a contractual item for on-call pay. They did get an increase from a $50 rate to a $100 rate as far as their on-call was concerned. And an on-call for us covers the week. Right, so that's what they're getting for the week, including the weekends. We get to control their movement. We get to control some of their behavior. You can't go out and be intoxicated if you're on call. So because we do that, we have to compensate them for it. So, okay. If we go to page 3, the EMR and EMT stipends, again, I just want to point out where there are large decreases. This is a 42% decrease. Again, though, this is contractual, right? So we are not the R1 responder for the town anymore. We used to be the primary EMR, emergency medical response, for the town, or for the city, rather. The city now, the R1 is the fire department. We thought that they were in discussions with the department and the previous mayor and the fire chief. They're more closely related to this than we are. The additional information we got from the state last year was that they won't support the EMR training in the academy for police officers anymore. You can still get it, but it's a specialized training now. So now the state swapped over to basic EMS only. So it's basic, it's stop the bleed, it's CPR, it's choking, and that's about all they're going to cover. So, and that's where, so because we drew back from that, that's why you see the decrease. But in the same group, you'll see that the clothing allowance went up 33%. So we did move money around, again, for contractual, and that's because our clothing items have gone up. These shirts that we're wearing today are now $100 a piece. And we do have, most officers carry at least 5, being short sleeve and long sleeve. So that's a $500 expense right there, and then we replace those every 2 to 3 years if we don't damage them as a normal part of operations, and that's without going on the pants and the belt and everything else that goes with it. So the officer today is going to stand you at about a little over $4,000 to fully equip the person standing in front of you as a new officer, so. Okay, we'll go down to general material and supply. That is under crime prevention patrol, and that is the fourth line item down. It's a 12% increase. It's $1,200. You want to talk about that?
So this covers, we now have a canine program. So this helps cover the canine vet bills. Anything that can come up as far as the wellness of the dog.
So we still have a grant. The dog was purchased with a grant. The supplies were purchased with a grant. The initial supplies were purchased with a grant. The training was purchased with the same grant. We still have several thousand. We have about just less than $5,000 remaining. This $1,200 is over and above that, and that's what we forecast as needing to do our vet bills as well as the monthly food supplies that we have to do for them. So. Okay. I do want to come down to, under Marine Operations and Harbor Patrol, again, looking fiscally as far as where we can move money around. We did not go out as much as I would have liked to last year. We do, and that's because we had boat issues. We do plan on going out this year as far as the boat is concerned, but I had to move money from someplace and put it elsewhere in the budget, so we did cut that down to its current rate of $12,000, and it represents a 33% decrease. Same thing, if you go down to the Harbor Patrol, the boat operations and maintenance, that is maintenance specific and equipment that we need for the boat. Lieutenant, you have something?
So we did replace 2 engines off of a grant. This is the numbers in order to keep it operational and try to get the boat out in the water more this year. And because we did replace the engines, the maintenance cost also goes down, because that's where we were spending a lot of the money on.
All right, and that takes us down to the bottom of the page, really, because there's nothing else that jumps out, and that comes in at 2.99%. As far as, because I heard the questions on grants, so let me just preempt that with what grants that we do participate in. So we participate in the Emergency Planning Zone, which is a nuclear, the Emergency Management Grant Program, and Homeland Security. In addition to that, we have regional grant opportunities with Region 4 in the Marine Port Security Grant, and which is where we got the engines from, and our our Department of Homeland Security through Region 4. Right now, a lot of that goes to a regional approach and training for all police departments in active shooter, and the training that goes with that, because everybody that's in a police department gets recertified every 3 years. That's part of a mandatory training. And we also ask for monies for our SRT team, which is a special response team, and that is a regional approach right now with 5 police departments. All right. And that's it.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, looking at the salaries for overtime, increase of 16.07% from 56,000 to 65,000.
Sorry, can you tell me what page you're on? Just so
We're on
that
page 3.
Okay.
Which is under dispatch.
For the dispatchers?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right, I'll do this. So if you look at traditionally, so our overtime expenses have been $86,000 to $87,000, right? 25, and then the estimated for this. We've only ever budgeted the 56,000. It's not a fair budget to come in and try and do that again when we know that we spend more than that, which is the reason for the increase, because we think we're going to come in at least at that 65,000 rate. Now, we have had some dispatcher turnover. As a matter of fact, we're training one dispatcher now. We also have an additional dispatcher applicant that's going through the process. Once that person comes on board, we'll be at full strength. I should point out, there's a line item underneath that 65,000, and that's a $12,000 part-time. Now, in the past, or since I've been here, we have not asked for part-time dispatchers. However, that line item did exist, it was just zeroed out, okay? So we are going to, and this is at the request of dispatchers, so we are going to attempt a stipend payment for a pool of part-time dispatchers that can work here instead of paying the overtime. It's cheaper for them fiscally, cheaper for me to pay them the stipend rate than it is to pay them the time and a half at whatever hourly that is. So we did add the $12,000 for part-time dispatchers. That was estimated at 1 shift per week that we could cover on a part-time basis on that stipend rate.
Something I failed to mention early on in this discussion, you have the right to ask to cut this budget, and you have the right to add to a budget. So just want to make sure you guys are all aware of what you can and can't do. You cutting or you're taking?
Red pen!
Any other questions? Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is on the events, special events. Does that also include the brew run? It wasn't mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, so, yes, it also covers the brew run, but
Okay.
also the, any other events that, the city has planned.
I just didn't hear, I didn't know if something changed, so that's it. Thank you.
Counselor Johnson.
Yeah. So Sailfest got canceled last year. Well,
Fireworks.
so yeah, so to speak. Does that cover that too?
The
You know,
fireworks event,
blocking the
yes.
streets off and stuff like that.
That's one of our largest events.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for clarifying. So I was just asking, are you guys, I know that you were interested in, you know, adding another dog, potentially. So,
Let's just work with the one.
yeah, I'm just asking if you
Let's
guys
see how
are
it
like
goes.
talking about it.
We're gonna
Yeah,
get
you
a
know what I
fleet.
mean? What's that?
Fleet of dogs.
Yeah.
So, so we did a personnel count earlier in the day, and you have that support, and I have to tell this story, Mayor. So I put down 29 sworn officers, and the mayor said, no, the dog is sworn as well, it's 30.
30. We have 30.
So,
We're going to have a therapy dog in the mayor's office. So if there's any.
I will say that, and Bill's only been active with our dog, Officer Grotowitz has been active with our dog for about 4 weeks now, and he's out, if not every day, at least multiple times a week, not only in our city, but also requests from the outside. State police have requested him, the towns requested, so I know he's been out on the highway a few times. So his reputation is getting built around the activity that his dog does. So.
Just a PR perspective of being able to maybe take him to the library, or, you know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
yeah.
get, like exposure.
Yeah, we will.
to the police
So,
department.
when we look for this dog, the reason why I'm a little hesitant on putting a second one, and I do really want to see how this one works out, you have to be very careful with your pick, right? I can go get a patrol dog, but I don't want the wrong kind of patrol dog. I want a patrol dog that I can show in the city council, that I can take to these community events, that it's okay for either adults or young ones to come up and pet. I mean, they ask, but come up and pet, and you're not afraid of a safety issue where you might otherwise be if you got the wrong tempered type animal. So,
Deputy Mayor.
Going back to the detectives on-call, you said that is under a contractual
That's
arrangement
correct.
already, so that has to be
right, that, I can't play with that number.
Okay.
That is the
For how
that's the
long?
1 week, right, that's the 1 week on-call for that detective.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's for, what, 3 years? How's that?
So this one is a 4-year contract,
4 years,
which was
okay.
just signed at the end of last year. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to touch on your CIPs, please?
So most of our CIPs are vehicle-related. You have a worksheet in front of you as far as what our fleet actually looks like. It's broken down. This is a big line item for us, a big ticket item, right? This is $180,000. Unfortunately, cars are not getting any cheaper. When I first started buying cars, they were $18,000. Now they're for fleet, and now they're $47,000 is what we're paying for a Dodge. And Tahoes go up from there. So Tahoe will cost us just shy of $60,000 if we wanted to go buy one today. So we're not buying Tahoes. So we will stick with the Dodge product until something else comes out. This breaks it down by patrol, so you can see what the age is as well as what the make and model is and the expected replacement year. There is patrol, there's detectives. The detectives have 4 vehicles assigned to them. Support, which is your non-admin type vehicles. Again, training, evidence, court, blight. We do provide a blight vehicle, so they can go out and do operations as far as that is concerned. We don't pay for the blight officer, and when another budget comes in front of you, you'll see a salary for the blight officer, but we do house them. We give them the equipment, the supplies, the computer, etc., and we do provide the vehicle for them. And then finally, the admin, which is the 3 of us sitting here. We each have a vehicle to use for us in our duties. So that is the patrol fleet. And then if you go by the year, again, I'm looking to replace the oldest first. I try to do a 2-in-1, meaning I'm trying to replace a 2 patrol and a 1 soft car to keep the cost down. If I went ahead and asked for 3 patrol cars, just bare bones patrol cars, I'd be over the $180,000. Because the other side of that $47,000 is the $19,000 that I have to put into that vehicle, as far as radio, lights, sirens, and MDTs and everything else that comes along with it. With the soft cars, I don't have to do that much. A soft car will cost me around $5,000 for a light package and moving the radio system over. That's providing that we have a car we can move the radio out of. If we have to do a radio replacement, that's going to be an increased standalone cost of $5,000 anyway, because that's how much we're paying for radio. So, and again, like I said, this is a 7-year replacement cost, and I should say, so only block 1 really is the valid number, but I included the other ones just so you would get an idea of what each of those 3 vehicle blocks looks like as far as the year replacement, but the mileage and the repair cost and the value is going to change, right? The mileage is going to go up for those 27 replacements because we haven't got there yet. The repair cost is going to go up, even if it's just regular maintenance, and the value is going to go down, unfortunately, so because it's older, so and with a greater amount of mileage. So that's where our most of our CIP sits. The other CIP for us is our bulletproof vests. That's one of the other I should point out, that's one of the other grant programs that we do participate in, is the Bulletproof Vest grant program, but they don't fund 100%. They only fund the 50%. And we have to put in specifically who those vests are for. It used to be you could just go, I need 5 vests. Not anymore. Now you have to tell them the name of the officer for the vest and who's that going to. And they're good for 5 years. Our body armor is good for 5 years.
Any questions? Counselor Johns?
Just personal knowledge. You were talking about those radios. Is it because they become obsolete and they can't fit into the new vehicles, or?
No, some of them break. Right, so, I mean, the big shift was from analog to digital, right? And then from 800 to 900 to multiband. So technology can change that as far as that's concerned, but sometimes they just wear out, end of life, and then we have to change over. And I should say that's just the base station. So if we do if we do the trunk unit and the head and the radio control head, it's about 11 grand for the whole thing.
Councilor Boyce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just looking real quick at this vehicle replacement. There's 2 patrol cars and that 1 support vehicle. I know you've already mentioned we're switching to Durangos.
Mm-hmm.
best product out there right now, I guess. you would say?
Fiscally.
Okay.
Not bad,
Durable,
though.
all
They're not bad, so.
American made, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
The Ford Taurus, that support vehicle, I guess the only question I had is what is the intent to replace that one? What are you looking at for a support vehicle? And the only reason why I'm asking this, because there's hybrid models, there's electric models. I don't know if that's doable for you guys in that support capacity. So
I
I'd
would
just
say,
like to get
okay.
your,
So I
take
was
on it.
asked, I was asked by the former mayor what I thought about EVs. That was 3 years ago, and at that point, the discussion was for the patrol vehicle, and honestly, with the power drawer that we have, with the lights, sirens, radios, MDTs, and it's not so much as, yeah, the vehicle's always running. It might not. We may be seated at an intersection, Sailfest, for 6, 7, 8 hours, and I have to have the power to run that, right, to run the whole thing. So as patrol vehicles go right now, I'm a little hesitant on doing an EV vehicle. As a support vehicle goes, yes, we would be open to that, but understand, financially, they're more expensive than what I'm looking at as far as the ask is concerned. So my vehicle costs will go up. And then the other thing is, there is a infrastructure requirement in that the patrol lot, which is on the side of the building here, now receive 3 to 4 EV chargers, depending on how many vehicles that we have in the fleet. So now we'd have to ask GU to come in and go ahead and put those EV chargers in, and I don't know what the cost would be to GU, the city, and then what the timeline would look like, so.
What's on the state grant. So we also have to see what's on the state grant. So when we purchase a vehicle, we have to see what vehicles are available to us. So it's not like we have a pick of every model that's out there. There are specific vehicles we can get through the state grants. What we did when we replaced some of the old Tauruses, we switched to the Chevy Equinoxes. But there are other options that are out there that we're open to looking at. We're not there yet.
So is it fair to say there is a possible opportunity to see through the state if there's any funding for the support vehicle, not your patrol vehicles?
Yeah, so the state bid, what the lieutenant's talking about, is not where they give us money. It is, the state goes out as a vendor, as a powerful vendor, and says, what is your best cost? Give it to us, right? And then, so it's about usually a 10% reduction on average. That's what we're looking at over what a consumer may pay for a product. So that's when the lieutenant's talking about that we're looking at the models that have been presented, because we can't go out and force somebody to be on a state bid. Vendors have to do that of their own accord. If they want to put forward their dealership with this many models, then that's what they do, and then that's what we're limited to as far as looking at it. I will tell you this, Tesla right now has, I think it's the T3, and that's the only police-recognized vehicle out of their fleet.
Just, so we have 30 sworn officers.
One with 4 legs.
Yes, that's right. Are we at full staffing right now?
So we are not.
In the police
That is
force.
what we're authorized in the process right now, yes. We will be, if we are able to finish with the applicants that we're currently going through. There is an April Police Academy, and that will place us at full staffing.
And how many folks would be going to academy in April?
2.
2, okay. I'd like to thank the mayor for giving good direction to the police department and trying to be fiscally responsible. Again, you've seen me in other venues where we try to hold the line to make sure that we keep our community safe, make sure we keep you guys safe in doing your duties. And I'm appreciative of what you guys have done to put this budget together. And I'm sure we'll see it again, or you'll see me again multiple times.
I will.
You too, over there. So thank you. I'm in full support of this.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then I will take a motion to move this to the mayor and council of February 2nd.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Amboise, seconded by the deputy mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Director Hill for Parks and Rec. Come on over.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Beach season, yay. So, here tonight, first with the document of our rules and regulations for Eastern Point Beach. And these are the recommendations that come from the Beach and Parks Committee that meet and review these after every season. And one of the things they looked at this year is our beach rules are 7.5 pages long, which is quite a lot of information. But we also have a document called Parks and Recreation user fees. So we decided to take the fees out of the rules and regulations and just put them in the keep them in the user fee document. That's the next item that we have tonight. So that will reduce our pages down to almost 4.5. There's a few other things we've removed, but I just wanted to briefly go through with you all what's come out. Obviously, on page 1, it's all the fees that came out, so that we don't have those in the rules and regulations. It talks about, military discounts, all the thing that had to do with the fees. So that part of it, and the daily rates at the gate, our walk-ins, and then our guest passes. All that's going into the document that we're gonna discuss after this one moves forward. So it moves things up, it's renumbered things or to put things in order, so that way we can minimize. We also looked at some of the rules in regards to, are they a liability to the city? Is it something that somebody's really going to give us a hard time about if they don't follow them? It's not like they're going to get hurt. So on page 4, we started minimizing some of the rules. Dressing and undressing is only permitted in the bathrooms. Pretty much everybody does that now. I don't think people in this day and age need to be told where to dress. So we kind of we've eliminated some, we've changed some. Rule number 4 was a big topic of discussion with the Beach and Parks Committee, because it used to be a 12-year-old could go to the beach with a 10-year-old or younger. So we checked with DCF, and DCF doesn't have any guidelines per se, but they have recommendations, and they strongly recommend that if a sibling is going to bring their younger siblings to the beach, they have to at least be 15, and a 12-year-old is really the age where somebody could do stuff by themselves. We understand when they get to the beach, they're in a safe environment, and they're there. We're kind of contained. It's quite quaint and safe. But our concern is when getting there from home to the beach. We don't control that aspect. So we kind of went with the recommendations with DCF on that rule. We removed some of the running on the sandy part of the beach. I mean, there's limited running. There's no, there's not like they're racing from one end to the other. Just to try to minimize some of this, because you all know we are called a no fun beach, and we're trying to we're trying to eliminate embracing that. So we're trying, we worked on putting some ball playing allowed down in the water area and the far beach in the water at the discretion of the staff. We're working on the canopies and pop-ups. We have eliminated those 10 by 10 a number of years ago. Those 10 by 10 popped up because if they do get the wind under them, that's a lot of metal going across our beach. So we're trying to work on making that a little safer. And so page 4 and 5 and actually 6, it just didn't quite print out right. I don't know how you guys got it. Mine's on multiple pages. We always have an issue with appropriate bathing suits. Some of our older generations are not too keen on how some of the younger generation suits fits, but it's a very hard approach for our supervisors, so we're kind of trying to change the language to make it appropriate. What I see is appropriate, what somebody else might be, but if it doesn't look bad and they can handle it, and we'll address it if we have to, but we eliminated the G-string thong language, because then it just kind of denotes, it gives other people leverage, lack of word, to say, oh, I don't like how she's dressed. So we kind of want to take that away. And so those are the big things in the rules. And the only other thing that we took out is we had a whole page on not feeding the wildlife, but we want to make that more of a talking point on the property by making you know, the stands with the signs that we can put in some areas of the beach so people know, other than just the signs that are on the telephone poles right now that says, do not feed the seagulls or wildlife. Let's educate them as to why that sign's there. And I don't think anybody actually even reads this page when they get their rules and regulations, or maybe even another 7 pages that come before this. So we're gonna try to make this more on-site educational. So we remove that from the rules and regulations. So that's where we're at with this. So this will go from a 7.5 page, is like I said, to about 4.5 pages. And our goal is we have the 2 bulletin boards at the property that we can now make it a bigger font as we put them up on the board so people can actually read them. So,
Questions, concerns? Counselor Johns?
I live at the beach, pretty much, so.
oh yeah, is your address 1 Beach Pond Road? No.
But I just wanted to say, so there's a couple of things. Yeah, I have 2 children. We live at the beach during the summertime. So, really happy to see, like, you know, they can run. There is some ball playing. Couple of things that scare me there that I still haven't wrapped my own head around, like as far as suggestions. I'm on the committee, by the way, as well.
Yes.
But it's like the wall. It drives me nuts, those kids climbing up the wall, and you know what I mean? Just because it's very dangerous, and it's really slick over there. So the lifeguards, I can hear them, you know, understandably getting frustrated after giving so many warnings to a certain, you know what I mean, child who might be climbing up there repeatedly. I don't know if, you know, it's just my 2 cents, maybe, you know what I mean, bringing more attention to that. I do, you know, there's a couple of changes that I'm in favor for. I was going to say line 16. But I do want to say that the feeding of the seagulls, it really drives, I mean, those things, like every animal's precious, right? I know, but those things are they're terror. They terrorize the.
No, I call them flying rats.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, so do I. I mean, but at the beginning of the season they're all right, but towards the end of the season, you can't walk from like you know from the stand with anything without just getting attacked. And my friends and I actually have to like work. Like, okay, there's one over there, man. Like you know. So I don't know what the move is there, but it was interesting that was removed. Because I don't know if, you know what I mean, like.
We want to make it more on-site so they see it. So, you know, the post, you have the post and you have like I'm going to call it a storyboard that you have across, and we can put the information there with maybe a seagull on it. And so and maybe have one up by the concession stand, maybe have one down in the playground area. So when parents and those will go up permanently. They won't, you know, eventually as we get there. So we want to make sure it's, you know, I probably have to go to the Eastern Point Historic District because of where the beach sits, but we want to make it so it's there. Our issue with the seagulls, it's this time of year. There are people down there right now that think the seagulls need to be fed. And so they are feeding them. There's people who leave Cheerios on the sidewalk. There's people who sit there and throw their French fries out the window. Last year we had one of the picnic tables, every day there was a to-go container on a picnic table, open. And we tried to catch who did it with the cameras and everything else, but we couldn't quite, our cameras aren't 100% clear, so we couldn't catch it. But it's this time of year in early spring, people feel the need to feed the seagulls. We only know a lot of this because of our goose patrol, who's down there daily, because the geese go after the food too, which we're trying to keep the geese off the beach. We're paying to keep the geese away from the beach, and now there's people down there feeding them. So I think in these boards, we might be able to, or these posts, how we want to do it at the beach, we might be able to help educate them that even in the off-season, it's not the healthiest thing to do. Yeah, so we have a plan.
I'm comfortable wearing a whistle too. Hey, don't feed that.
Any other question? Counselor Piazza?
I think in reference to the birds, I mean, I have seen it when people sit at the picnic table, but I say it's almost like going to a ball game. Many times going to my grandson's ball game, and everybody's got soda, and you got thousands of bees. So, and I think I have a heart for seagulls because I have rehab like 3 of them. So, and when you call, nobody comes to get them. So, you know, I'm not saying that we need to entertain them to come there and so forth and so on. In that, I like the idea of education. I was wondering, would that, as you're moving along with that, would that go during the summer? Like a little, I don't know if you could do an announcement, hey, we're having a little class on seagulls and, or the wildlife here and why we have this rule.
Yeah.
You know, that the kids could go to, or, you know, maybe like we only can accept 20 at a time or something like that, have a little spot that they could sit in and so forth.
Good idea.
And-
I like that.
And then, thank you, and I like what you're doing. So, and I think the rule for the 15-year-olds, with my daughter being a lifeguard, they have very similar. So, yeah, I think 12 is very young, especially for younger kids. And I had something else. I can't put my finger on it, so I'll just leave it at that.
Counselor Moss.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'm looking through these rules, and again, first of all, I'd like to thank you and the Beach and Parks Committee for trying to streamline this. I don't know if you guys copy and pasted this on ChatGPT. That might help, maybe one more page even, so just as a consideration. I mean, one of the new Rule 1 under Section K, this all sounds like common sense to me, but towel snapping, I mean, that one to me doesn't seem relevant or needed. It's just my personal opinion. The other one, which kind of is contradictory, is no throwing of stone, sand, or other objects is allowed on the beach, but we have ball playing is confined, so you can actually throw something. So again, I'm just kind of seeing that contradiction, and I'll just be honest with you. I'm on the adult side of the beach, so basically what I'm seeing with this is that kids can throw balls over on the adult side of the beach. That's not going to jive with the adult side on the beach. Obviously, you put the discretion following that, but, you know, I don't want to have myself or maybe somebody else that turns into a Karen or Ken to have to enforce something like that. You know what I mean? So.
Sure. I have a main beach and a far beach. I don't have a children's beach and an adult beach, so
Yeah.
I just
Far
know.
beach.
Far
Far beach is
yes.
adult
So,
beach.
but we
keep
also,
walking.
we also allow ball playing over there because that's where the volleyball court and
Correct.
the tennis courts.
Basketball.
Basketball courts. I'm a little tired, sorry. So that's why they kind of moved it to that side, because there's already ball playing over there. But it's, again, that's new this year, so that's one of those ones that we'll evaluate as we go and see where it takes us.
Sure.
Because, you know, sometimes, and this will, in all honesty, on those overcast, not so nice days when the adults don't come to the beach because it's not nice weather, that gives a kid an opportunity to play down that area. So, but that will be, again, one of those balancing things that we'll look at and evaluate this year since it's been added. And this is actually a recommendation that came from the Beach and Parks, not Beach and Park, it went to the Beach and Parks Committee from the supervisors that work at the beach.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at 13, no skateboards, roller skates, rollerblades, or razor scooters to be used on the beach property. I guess I'm looking for a justification on that, because I know that I was working with a
here we go.
resident at one point where they had an issue with the bike riding, and now we put the caveat, you could ride your bike off-season around the sidewalks and other things like that, but to not be able to do those other things is kind of preventing and.
well, we could add that language to that. That's not a
Yeah,
problem.
and
Yep.
and again,
Yep,
during
may-
beach
yep,
season
yep.
would be
Yeah, during the
helpful.
off-season, we could put during the off-season,
And
these
again,
are
I
allowed.
can see how that gets a little
Yep,
bigger.
sure, yep,
For the fact that, you know, there could be a liability issue. You know, if
Yep.
I'm trying to, and not me personally, I know better now, I'm old and I don't need risk. But if I'm trying to do a rail slide down this one particular stairway, that could, you know, lead to somebody getting hurt. And we got our fire department over here, they're gonna call for service. So, it was just one thing that I looked at.
So just for clarification, for number 13, we're adding during beach season or something, some verbiage along that line?
Yeah, because under number 15 on page 6, we have no bicycle riding on beach property, but during the off-season, bicycle riding will be allowed in the parking lot area only. So we could just
Okay.
add
You could
that
just
language
add
there.
that. Yeah,
Yep.
that'd
Yep.
be great.
Yep.
Again, and we're
I just
hoping people
can't-
do the right thing.
Yeah, I can,
And again, you guys have been real,
Yep.
your staff have been real diligent about making sure, even, the gatehouse, hey, park your bike over here, put your scooter over there, don't go
Yep.
buzzing around, because it's a safety issue.
Yep.
no
Can I
doubt.
just get a consensus? You don't have to vote on this, but yes or no? Are you good with adding that verbiage?
I would like to go one step further. Adding it, but then adding to it.
Okay,
Only because older. I'm an older guy now, but I used to skateboard, and I know those things do a lot of damage. I don't know that necessarily we even want the ability to like grind and skateboard down in that area. I don't know.
well, if we take the language from the bicycles, they're only allowed in the parking lot area. Would that be, I'm not a skateboarder, so would they cause damage to the parking lot?
Could do damage to the curbs. I don't know. I'm not trying to,
no skateboards, period.
I would
Roller
say.
skates, rollerblades, and razor scooters are to be used on beach property only during beach season, whatever number 15 says.
Yep.
During the off-season, riding roller skates, rollerblades, or razor scooters will be allowed only in the parking lot only?
Yeah, so. Yes, and basically what I would say, Madam Mayor, is, yeah, I mean, because we have so many things going on with the skate park,
Yeah,
the skate park.
we got a skate park.
Push them that direction.
Okay.
I mean, roller skates, rollerblades, razor scooters, believe me, I've been through so many razor scooters with at least one child. Are they really the same as skateboards? So, coming back, I mean, I'm sure we're in the same place as parents, like razor scooters, skateboards are very different. So it really, like, lumping them all together maybe doesn't make the most sense.
So are we trying to make this another, like, no skateboards, period, is number 13, move number 14 to be no roller skates, rollerblades, or razor scooters are to be used on beach property during the beach season, whatever the verbiage is on number 15. During the off-season, those three things will be allowed in the parking lot area only. Do we care if they're on, like, if I was taking my child, I would honestly prefer they be on the sidewalk. Do we care where they are?
I think with like, with like, razor scooters especially, there's an age. I mean, if you get into like motorized scooters, those get older, but razor scooters tend to stay, how old are the kids now? Like 8, 9, 10?
So are we okay with them on property, period?
I think so.
Mary, do you have any issues with that?
Madam Mayor, I'm just
Yeah.
playing devil's advocate here. And again, if you were grinding a curb or something like that, is different from riding, let's say, a longboard. Again, I'm not trying to get in the weeds here, but, you could just decide to push the skateboard around the parking lot. So
Yeah.
I understand what Counselor Johns is saying, and again, I just wanted to bring this up for discussion to see. I guess the question I have is how many issues do we have with skateboards, roller skates, roller blades, razor scooters during the beach season compared to off beach season?
Probably not much during the season. We might see a skateboarder come in and they'll get to the bike rack and they'll pick it up.
Okay.
I haven't seen, we might have a few parents come out in the evening with a razor scooter or whatnot in the parking lot area during the beach season, which if it's not busy, it's okay, but we eliminated bike riding on the parking lot because of the nature of the size of cars and everything's gotten so much bigger. If a car pulls out and doesn't see the kid on the bike, I would kind of view a razor scooter that way. Skateboarders are pretty agile in their activity when they're doing their skating. I haven't seen rollerblades during the season. There are people who do stuff like that in the off season because they know it's not as busy. So
Where are we at with skateboards?
I feel like the grumpy old man. No skateboards. No.
You're the youngest one up here, I think. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a consensus with,
I mean, I feel like if you're feeling like it's not a big issue, keep an eye on it for this year, but if it is, like, we can come back to it later. But like I said, I've heard so much about the new skateboard park over the past year with the RTM. You know, we really want to push people that direction eventually, you know.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
My question, I think sometimes we get, we want to get away from the blah, too restrictive beach. One of the things I hear from driving a school bus a lot is with the people coming to the city, for the kids who come over to the city, they say, they tell us, oh, go to the skateboard park, or they tell us to go here or there, but we have to think about how do they get there. If they're at Eastern Point Beach and they're right around the corner where they live, Branford Manor, whatever, how are they going to get over to the skateboard park? So we have to think about that. If we're going to shove them that way, what's their transportation? That's how I look at it. I mean, I do think, I think understanding liability, but I personally feel, since I've been on council, that we really lack a lot for our youth coming in here. We want to drive, they're our next generation, so not saying that we need to give in order to have damage or whatever, but I think screening to see how it goes, and do we really have them like riding on the curbs and so forth and so on, railing along on the curbs. Is that really happening? Have we had like lots of damage where we really need to take this in consideration? Because next thing you know, when you talk about liability, is like, okay, even though if the off-season, who's actually going to monitor it? Parents need to come with them, who's gonna monitor that, and, where is actually all that monitoring? I just feel like it just kind of flows into this, flows into that, flows into this. I think, on a whole, monitoring it by, like, in season or maybe after hours, whatever you wanted to put,
Well, after hours is 8 o'clock at night, so I'm not sure how
What?
many skateboarders were, like, come the end of August you're gonna have.
I know quite a few skateboarders on my bus that would love to go down there. So,
In the dark? I mean, it gets dark in August by 8:15, and we close at 8 o'clock.
We got, I got
So-
some diehard kids I know.
All right, so I just need to know how are we gonna, as the mayor mentioned, making one rule, no skateboards, or are we just gonna keep Rule 13, no skateboards, roller skates, rollerblades, and razor scooters are to be used during the season, but during the off-season they're allowed? I mean, because we don't allow bike riding right now at the beach. Are you gonna tell me a bike can't go through, but somebody on a skateboard can? Because that's what I'm hearing right now.
During season, are you
During
saying?
season, that's what so only on the
Yeah,
off, so we
yeah.
can just go back to what initially, we just take the
Yeah.
bike language and put it attached to the skateboards, roller skates, rollerblades, and scooters, and then we can evaluate it and
Right.
see where it goes for next year.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I think honestly, if we say in the parking lot only, that keeps skateboards off the Zaberski house or the.
Yeah, and the deck of the Tyler house
Which
and
is
stuff like
where
that.
I would be more
Yeah.
concerned.
Yep, okay, so we'll just move bike language for off-season.
I wanted to piggyback off of what Counselor Piazza said about making the rules a bit easier to consume. I could say for a fact that I've never read those rules on the billboard, and I'm pretty sure that there's at least a majority of the folks that don't. However,
How
everybody's
about the
got
ones you get when you get your beach pass?
everybody's got a phone, and perhaps there could be a QR code that can give you the do's and don'ts using your staff to say,
yep.
let's do this, how about don't do that, no towel snapping, or
Yep.
whatever it is. This is the adult side of the beach, the far side, and then this is the kid side of the beach. But I think that would be an easier way for all people to have an opportunity to consume it in a short bite. And it's
Have less
clearly
signs.
explained to them, and if they choose it, that's great, and if they don't, so have two options, Plan A and Plan B.
We did that last summer. We had a QR code, and we had rules, hard copies. We had, we didn't give out hard copies. It's a lot of printing when you have to print 7 pages of rules. We didn't give out hard copies when people bought their beach passes, but we referenced to a QR code so you could see all the rules. And you would be amazed at how many people, there's certain rules people just don't understand, but we had more questions about rules and rules and rules last year because they didn't get them hard copies. So some people do actually read them, but the QR code did not work last year. Not that we're going to leave it this year, we're going to continue to push it, but from a statistical point of view, it didn't work last year. But we can, well, we're still working and trying to evolve with that because we get quite a few phone calls. You know, the biggest one is, oh, I lost my, so I got a car accident, my pass is, I don't have one anymore. Oh, it's on page 2 of your rules. Oh, I didn't see that. I mean, but it tells you that we have a details of what you're supposed to do if you lose your pass, have a car accident, need a temporary pass because your car's in the shop. That's all in the rules and regulations. And I'd say probably last year, every week, we were dealing with that because we just did the QR code. So now that's why we're trying to condense this into a smaller document so that when if we do give it out, it's not as cumbersome to like actually look at. So.
And I understand
Yeah.
that, Director Hill, what I'm trying to say is perhaps in video form, not paper reading form. If you want to explain to these folks, hey, oh, I just got into a crash. My beach pass is not on my windshield anymore. Here's the solution. So if you make it in a small digestible bite so that they can know the basics, the on the wall and somebody slips and then all of a sudden you got, you know, fire guys going and they have those. I'm not that tech savvy when it comes to stuff like that, but you could have one of those. I can think of that song, Do You Remember Me? Like you slip and you fall, or you got your hot dog and your smiley fries, and then you got the birds going, and they took your food, whatever. It's just something that'd be a bit more.
The second time in 1 week that I've heard about smiley fries.
Yeah, something that'll be a bit more catchy, and then maybe the whole thing goes viral. Again, I think.
Okay, if I find the time and my staff and I find the time to put a video together, we'll do our best.
Or
But
we
I
could even
am
talk-
having a retirement and I'm down a staff at the park, so.
I think Matt just volunteered behind you. I'm just letting you know.
I just think it would be a
Yep.
more useful tool, especially for our youths and the other folks that are always glued to the phone, and it would make it more
And
digestible.
that's why we did a QR code last year, because we thought, oh, everybody has the phone in their hand, and.
I would say that
didn't work.
our videos on our social media platforms get watched often. They have a pretty good rate, so that might be a great idea. And I think that we should bring our counselors right on in and let them do some of the videos. All right. Are there any more questions about, or comments about our Eastern Point Beach rules and regulations? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to move that to the mayor and council of February 2nd.
So moved?
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously. All right, next up are Eastern Point Beach user fees.
They're actually the whole department, Parks and Recreation fees.
I'm sorry, Park and Recreation, thank you.
Yep. So, as I stated, we took the fees out of the rules and regulations, so now they're well, they've always been in this document too. So on page 2, we have all our fees for the beach passes and for the gates. There was no increase this year in any of the beach pass, either the passes or the gate went up last year, so we left that as is for this year. They do review this. I do give them a breakdown of what it costs. We're at 78%, roughly 78% recovery for what it costs to operate the beach. Obviously, it's because we're required to get 25 to 75%, so we're getting there. We're getting beyond there. Ultimately, I would love for the beach to pay for itself, but that's a big ask right now. So we'll get there. The beach roughly costs about $380,000 a year to operate, and we bring in maybe roughly $220,000. Roughly that. It fluctuates. It's weather dependent, obviously. But we do have an influx. The last 2 years, we've actually sold more non-resident passes than we've sold resident passes. So that is something the Beach and Parks Committee is looking at in regards to maybe it's time we look at that non-resident fees again. But they weren't ready to do that this year because, I think they just went up 2 years ago, so we'll work on that. So those, no changes on those fees. There's only one was operational thing on page 3. our building's not open Monday through Friday anymore, so we just put during regular office hours, because if that changes, at least we don't have to go back to change this, because we're not open on Fridays. The other, special events stayed the same for the beach. Recreation programs, our adult programs are asked to get 100% recovery. Our youth programs are 50 to 75%. For anybody has had their child in our summer playground program, I want to say it was 3 years ago. This is our third year, I believe. Our third year where we went to a weekly fee. It used to be $300 and you came for the summer for 8 weeks. The hard part was with that is that we never knew what kids were showing up. We never knew how many how many kids we're going to have in each age group. So we staffed appropriately for what we thought was coming. So we went 4 years ago, we went to a 4-week, and that didn't work so well either, because you had to be registered by a certain time for the second session, and there was a field trip in there, and we forgot to add that, so we just went weekly. I think this is our third year. So we're still adjusting this. I mean, when you went from a 8-week program for $300, it was $37.50 a week. So we couldn't make the jump too high too quickly. So we've worked our way to where we're kind of comfortable with our city resident rate, but we do get an influx of non-residents. And it's not just Groton Town individuals. We get Ledyard, East Lyme. We get some people from Stonington, families who have kids that live but they work here. They work at EB or Pfizer. It's easier for them to bring their child to our program. So the committee is looking to increase the non-resident rate for this year for our summer playground program. And we have an early bird, so if they register before Memorial Day and they register for all their weeks, they get a discount. But it's gonna go from $85 to $95 for the early bird for a non-resident, and then from $95 to $105 after Memorial Day for a non-resident to participate in our program. We didn't make any adjustments to our half-day program because we're looking to eliminate that, but I'm keeping it here just in case we've had some issues. We pre-K, TK, kindergarten, all that stuff, it's kind of got a little cloudy this past year when we had 4-year-olds with our snappers, and it was just like we might just go to an age group, but it's still a work in progress with that. But the kids wouldn't be eliminated; they'd be a full-day program, so they would fall up there. So, so the goal of the committee was let's instead of hitting our residents again, let's go for our non-residents. So that's the increase with the playground rates. And I believe.
Jump in there for just one quick second.
Sure.
So I spoke with Mary about this earlier. We were looking at how much does the town charge per day, and it was 140?
For the week, it's roughly
140
approximately 145 for a week for the child, and it's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we go 8:30 to 3.
So we're
close to what it would cost them to keep
their child up in the town,
in
if
the
they were a
town
town
or to
resident.
us. So, yeah, so.
We just have, so if people look at the town fees and see that our fees are significantly lower, they are lower, they're close, though, if you consider how many hours we do in comparison.
Right, so that's an hour and a half, 1.5 hours times 5 that we don't offer. So, I will have to retreat back to the page 3, because this one I missed. So in the beach fees, we have what we instituted a couple of years ago, a guest pass. There's a lot of people on the south end of town that have one house, but like 3 people are owners, or like it's a family home and there's 3-4 people that use it. So we started adding a guest pass to that. People can buy it. It's a walk-in pass for the house. And the committee raised that to $40, so it's the same rate as a city resident beach pass. It used to be a sticker laminated. We're actually gonna work on, actually I have my badge on me so I can show you. We're gonna make something hard copy like this where we can put their address in their address on it, and they can have it so it's a little more sturdy than just a beach pass laminated. So that went up to $40. But those are the only increases we've had in fees for this year after they looked at things. And that's their recommendations for this year.
Sorry, I'm doing math. Any questions or concerns? Deputy Mayor.
The full day is that now 5 to 14 instead of 6 to 14?
Yes,
Okay, and it's $95 instead of 85, is that?
correct, for the non-resident, yes.
Well, I see the early bird weekly city resident at 95.
No, that's just, it didn't slide over, sorry. That should be tabbed over. We had a hard time getting this to you guys with the corrections in it, because it's the same document we use year after year. So we have changes from like 3 years ago pop up on this, so Val did her best. Instead of having to retype the whole thing. So yes, so the city rate would be $50 for early bird and $60 for a resident.
Okay,
For a non-resident, it would go to 95 and 105.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Counselor Piazza.
Thank you, Mayor. So the fees for the Parks and Rec during the season, that's including meals?
Yes,
they get
breakfast
meals?
and lunch.
Breakfast and lunch, okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Counselor Mbas.
Thank you. I know this is new to me, so I'm just wanted to ask, are there, I know it might not be in this document, but are there scholarships available for the youths that might be in economic hardship?
Yes, we
Okay.
do work with the Groton, Human Services.
Yep.
There's a form that they have the families fill out, and whatever they can pay, they pay. If say they can pay a fourth of the charge, that's all we charge them.
They have to go to Groton Human Services to get it, then come here?
Yeah, they're the ones that have the calculations and the forms based on their income and whatnot that we don't have here.
Okay.
Is that it?
Any other questions?
Sorry.
Yeah, have there been talks, just as a parent, like adjusting that time? Because it's a really hard thing for parents to get to pick kids up at that exact time every day. As lucky as we are, okay, to be able to
Yep.
to have that, it's still like, okay, we got to get there for like 3 o'clock. Who can leave their job at 3 o'clock every day? You know what I mean? It's a really tough one.
It's not our control, it's the school. We have to be out of the building at a certain time in order for that, that's one of the issues. Grateful that we get our schools for free. We're a unique community. We don't have to pay the custodial fees to be there all summer, but they are a hard stop. We are looking at maybe bringing back this Washington Park site, which we could probably do a little longer there because there's no doors shutting because we're not in the school. Because I kind of followed my staff's lead a little bit with that one a couple of years ago because we had the new school, it had air conditioning, I didn't have to worry about rain days, I didn't have to call everybody at 6 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, everybody's at the school today. But as a professional, 34 years doing this, I miss the outside park program, so that would give us the ability to stay later. So it is something that I'm looking at. And it wouldn't affect my budget at all, we'd take the influx of extra staff down here. So, yeah, yes.
Seeing no more questions, I will take a motion to move this to the February 2nd Mayor and Council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstention? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you,
Have a
Mary.
good rest of the night.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing that we've been here 2 hours, I'm going to take a very short 5-minute recess. We'll be back at 8, okay, I'll do 7 minutes, 8:35.
Okay, but they loved it. They really liked it a lot.
Okay, we're back on. It is 8:35. Next up is Public Safety, Public Works Committee updates. Chair Amboise.
Madam Mayor, this referral came from previous discussions when we first got sworn in for fire staffing. The main discussion that we've had over the past two meetings, which one was on January 6th, one was on January 20th, about fire department staffing. I'd like to thank the fire chief, deputy chief, and our union negotiators for coming in and attending those meetings, as well as the city mayor. We had a lot of robust discussion. If I will share the draft minutes once we approve them at our next meeting tomorrow. Some of the discussion that came up was, I'm trying to get to my notes here, excuse me. I can't read all this, it's about 7 pages long, but we discussed the need for additional fire staffing in the department. There's no Connecticut statute for fire department staffing standards or recommendations. Our current staff of 15 employees is 1 fire chief, 2 deputy chiefs, 1 fire chief, 1 deputy chief, 3 battalion chiefs, and the remainder are firefighters. All firefighters on our staff are Fire Safety 2 certified, which is great. We have 2 firehouses here in the city of Groton, one at Eastern Point, one on Broad Street. We discussed all the equipment that they have. The staffing levels have not changed since the year 2000. However, there has been a firefighter minimum that has changed since 2012. It was at one point 3 firefighters on staff. Now it is up to 4 firefighters on staff as a minimum. We had a lot of discussion about the overtime budget. Typical shift for a firefighter in the city of Groton is 24 hours on duty, 48 hours off duty. That adds up to about 56 hours a week that each fighter is working, but they're only paid for 48. So we discussed the comp time or Kelly time that they are given, which is the 8-hour difference. The firefighters are on shift 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. There was discussion that we had on how do we get to the increasing of staffing. One of the discussions that we had was to look out and seek a SAFER grant, which is a federally funded grant program, which would incrementally pay for the firefighters that we are requesting at a certain percentage. It starts off as that grant would start paying 75% the first year, and then by year 4, we would end up, the municipality would be on the hook for the remainder of that payment. We also discussed the ways to generate revenue or increase our income so that we could offset the cost of putting firefighters on board. We're still in those discussions, which we'll probably discuss more at our next meeting. In summary, it was the recommendation of our committee to, and let me get to my proper wording of this, to recommend to the council, let me get back to my little statement, recommend to council to the creation of 3 new firefighter positions contingent of an application and receipt of funding for the SAFER grant for said positions. It was, motion was made by me, seconded by Norris, and it passed 2-0. So what the committee is recommending to the council is to accept this recommendation to create 3 new firefighter positions for the city of Groton, contingent on the application and receipt of funding by SAFER grant for said positions. However, as this discussion's held, we still are unsure when that is going to open up due to the federal government shutdown. They still haven't opened up those grant opportunities, as well as other grants that the City of Groton Fire is waiting to apply for. So this was our first step in trying to see how we can increase fire staffing within the City of Groton. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'm going to ask you to go into one more thing.
Yes.
So you talked about, the one thing you missed was, why do we need 5 per shift? What was the catalyst behind that? What does that provide our firefighters that they're not currently getting?
Okay.
And I can touch on that if you're not.
Sure. Again, there's OSHA standards, OSHA hazmat requirements that are needed to have faster response time to fight fires due to new household items, furniture, components, and being more combustible, as well as in order for any firefighters, City of Groton we're focusing on here, in order for them to go in and fight a fire, they need to have the requirement of two in and have 2 people out behind them in order to, in case something happens for an emergency. So in the event of what happened over at Groton Towers, there was a fortunate event that it was at the right time where available units were able to assist in that coverage, but 5 minutes more, and it could have been a heck of a lot worse. So the OSHA hazmat standard is, in order to have a fireman go into a building, they need to have at least 2 people that go in. 2 people have to be there to support them on the backside of it. So.
And then the 5th person is there.
Is going to be the person directing, which is the battalion chief. So what was happening and what we've discussed at previous meetings is that the person in charge of organizing and communicating with all the firefighters on scene was actually doing a job of a line fireman. So they weren't, in essence, able to do their directions and administer where people need to be in the right place in the right time.
Good? Okay.
Thank you for making me get a little bit more in detail with this, but I'd be happy to share all of these meeting minutes with you. What we did discuss is the cost of a firefighter to get onboarded. It was a rough estimate, about $140,000. That does not include, that includes everything, their salary, their benefits, and any of those types of things. However, it does not include the cost for them to go to Fire Academy and do the EMT training. That was an extra $8,500 or so for the fire training as well as the EMT. And then, so with that being said, you know, applying for the SAFER grant would give us an opportunity as a municipality to onboard these staff at a reduced cost, and then work on trying to find increased revenue streams to try to offset those costs once in year 4 when we're paying 100% full freight. The recommendation of 3 was, again, discussed and recommended by the staff members. Their goal at one point is to have 7 additional staff members on board, which would put them in a better position to then decrease the overtime and make sure that everybody's covering shifts, and then it would be a recommendation that we would have to make in order to increase the minimum firefighter staffing, which is currently at 4, and the goal would be to get up to 5.
The goal for now would be 5.
Yes.
The long-term goal would be 7 per shift. Looking in the back just to get confirmation,
Okay.
yeah. But that would be a significant increase in firefighters at this moment. So the discussion the proposal is, and this won't go to council. This is kind of we want your consensus before we have the fire department look to apply for a SAFER grant. Because there's no point in them applying, coming back and saying we have 75% funding for the first year, 50 for the second.
It's 75% for the first 2 years.
Okay.
It drops down to 65% funding.
Okay, so 75, 75%, 65, and then 0. Just so you are aware of how that works. It does not cover the fire academy. If in the past we have only hired firefighters who have already gone through the fire academy. If we wanted to hire somebody who had not gone through the fire academy, that is about a $10,000 cost, $8,500.
Yeah, 8,500 plus the 1,300 for EMT training.
Yeah, so close to 10,000. And that does not get covered by the SAFER grant, just so you're aware. What it does do, though, is it opens us up to a more diverse population of people because they don't have to have already gone through the fire academy. So what I am looking for are your thoughts on, are you interested in moving up to 5 firefighters per shift? And that being said, that would mean hiring 3 new staff, firefighters, contingent upon the application and receipt of the SAFER grant. Should that not happen, the SAFER grant not happen, then the committee would need to look at some other avenues of funding. So that's where we're at. I would love a discussion on where everybody is at.
Thank you.
Councilman McElroy.
As a person who has lived next to a house that has burned twice in the past 10 years on Latham Street, the last time it was that it burned, they couldn't go in until more firefighters came. And it devastated that house. So watching that happen next door to my house, we need more firefighters in the area.
Deputy Mayor.
I'm certainly in favor of increasing our firefighter staff by 3 for each shift. But yeah, the funding issue is certainly going to be the key. If we do not get that grant, then it does force us potentially to raise the mill rate. And that's something that we have to also think about, and whether the people, the freemen of the city, when budget time comes around, whether that's something they will be in favor of. So we got to keep that in mind. But obviously, I'm in favor of increasing staff, absolutely.
Okay. Councilor Piazza.
I want to say thank you for all the work you have all put in and getting all the numbers and everything and being there for the meetings. And, I mean, I'm in favor for it. If we don't get the SAFER grant, I'm just in hopes shooting that's going to pass, that they're going to give the grant. I mean, if not, and just like Deputy Mayor Sheffield said, is that something we're looking at? But, I mean, a lot of Americans are always safety first, safety first. That's always top bar there. So, I would hope that our constituents of the city would be in favor. But, but everybody's being hit in the pocket. But then again, we have to think of what's going to be safe and hopefully prevent any more tragedies.
Yeah, I was in favor from jump, basically, whenever they first did their, they came to us and discussed, materials, things that homes, we have in our homes now, and the burn rates, how quickly things are catching on fire. It's just all really airtight logic, and I'm completely in favor of hiring anybody that we need to help us keep the city safe as far as fire control goes.
Again, I can't support this initiative enough. I hope and pray that the SAFER grant comes online sooner rather than later. But I also wanted to just let the councilors know that we are still trying to look and see if we can find other revenue streams in that time while we wait, to see how we can increase our income in order to offset the cost of onboarding the 3 firefighters initially and eventually getting to the goal of the 7 that the City of Groton Fire are requesting and over the long term. One of the things that we'll discuss at our next meeting is how to generate those revenues, as well as if we could, and I think I did ask the mayor for this, if we could see what a breakdown per firefighter would be per household income, so that it could be a bit more palatable for everyone to see what it is going to, how it would affect the mill rate in everybody's household, so that they're fully aware that, moving forward.
Okay. I will talk with Director Uhas about making sure we get that number, those numbers. Yes.
I just wanted to mention too, we did talk about recruiting, so I have been talking to some medical friends of mine and their children, and I did find somebody that does have experience, and I was like, oh my God, we need somebody in the city of Groton, so I'm like on him, but he's just had a baby, so, but I'm gonna be hot on him, so I have his name, but I did call New London, they do have an, emergency medical course that students can go through, so at least that would help. So I'm waiting for calls from other schools to see what do they actually have, if they have any programs, you know, either outside of school or something that they sponsor. So I'll get back with you guys on that as far as, because we did talk about recruiting. So I just kind of took the initiative to see what we have out there for you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, I think you have your consensus to move forward with applying for the SAFER grant. I do look forward to future discussions on other ways that we could potentially help fund this. And I think you have this council's approval of, or support of trying to increase the minimum number. So thank you all for all of your support. Oh, I'm sorry.
Again, just for public purposes, we are having another Public Safety, Public Works Committee meeting tomorrow. Is it in C10, Clerk McCura? Thank you. In C10, 7 o'clock, and we'll just continue these discussions because we want to keep this momentum moving. Thank you.
Thank you. No idea what that was. Okay. Moving on. What was that? The ball roll. The ball roll. Very good. Oh, it's good. All right. The last thing on our list tonight is commission appointment for Harbor Management Commission. Alternate member Bill Robarge. Do you want to take this one, or do you want me to? So we received an applicant for Bill Robarge as an alternate member for the Harbor Management Commission. I did reach out to our attorney because Mr. Robarge is an employee. In response to your inquiry, Connecticut General Statute states in Section 7-421 specifically prohibits any municipal employee from serving in any local body exercising zoning, land use, or planning powers unless such municipality by charter or ordinance waives such prohibition and authorizes such service. Harbor management does not fall under that. I specifically asked that question. Does not fall under that, and so he is okay to be on Harbor Management Commission. Any questions or concerns? We do have a vacancy. Okay. I will take a motion then to move that to February 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. I will take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you all.
We'll let you do it the next time. We'll let you second it.